Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so the video that I make for you, this one is a very simple video to explain to you about projectile forces. Okay, projectile forces are any forces that is diagonal. It either goes like that, right, or it goes downwards, right? It's not this kind of straight forces. No, it's not. It is either diagonal forces that goes up or goes down. The whole idea is this. Let's say I have this force that goes upwards, right, and I say that it is 30 newtons, right? This means that any diagonal forces that goes up, right, for instance you have a ball, okay, and it goes up in that direction, okay, it means that there are two components to it. Two components. One is one force pulling the ball up, and another force pulling the ball sideways. The force that pulls the ball sideways is what we call the X component, and the force that pulls the ball upwards is the Y component. And so as a result, there is a net force. The ball will travel this way, diagonal. The question is, how are we going to find what is Fx and what is Fy? That is the question that we are going to ask. So in one of the examples you give me, there is a force that goes up and it's 25 Newton, right? And then they say that it is at an angle of 42 degrees. I think it's the first example you give me, right? 25 Newton and it is at an angle of 42 degrees, right? So the first thing that you can do is to find what is the Y component of the force of this 25 Newton and what is this X component of this 25 Newton here. If you see these three lines, you will realize that you can actually form a triangle. One goes like this, 25 Newton. One goes like this. This is what you call the Fx, and the other goes like that. This is what you call Fy, and this is the angle 42 degrees. So it's always good practice when you have a diagonal force like this, find out what is the X component and what is the Y component. So how are we going to find this out? We are going to use trigonometry. So Fx would be equals to 25 cosine 42 degrees, which is equals to 18.57 Newton. Fy would be equals to 25 sine 42 degrees, which is equals to 16.7 Newton. So I'm sure in school your teacher would have told you, right, about all this, that this is 25 sine, this is 25 cosine. How do you get that, right? Basically it all goes back to trigonometry. If what you want to find is Fy, and this is the angle that we are talking about, 42, then this is what you are going to call the opposite side, right? If you remember in your EMATs, this is opposite side and this is your hypotenuse. So if this is opposite, this is hypotenuse, I can safely say that sine 42 degrees is equals to Fy over 25. and therefore Fy would be equals to 25 sine 42 degrees. And that is how I get Fy equals to 25 sine 42. Likewise, if you want to find Fx, again, in this case, Fx is the adjacent. If Fx is the adjacent, then you're going to have adjacent over hypotenuse. Therefore, it's going to be cosine 42 degrees is equals to Fx over 25. Therefore, Fx is equals to 25 cosine 42 degrees. And that is how I get that Fy will always be 25 sine 42 degrees and Fx will be 25 cosine 42 degrees. So the point that I want to make here is this: whenever you have a diagonal force, right, let's say this time is 30 Newton, always try to find what is the x component and what is the y component. The moment you manage to find what is the fx component and what is the y component, it will make life easier for you. So just to revise, for in this case, if it's 30 Newton and this is 42 degrees, then Fx, to find Fx, let's label first all the sides. This is the opposite, this is the adjacent, and this is the hypotenuse. Alright, so to find Fx, we are going to use adjacent and hypotenuse. Therefore, CAH is cosine 42 degrees is equals to Fx over 30. Therefore, Fx is equals to 30 cosine 42 degrees, which is equals to 30 cosine 42. 22.3 Newton, right? And then to find Fy, we are going to use opposite and hypotenuse, so it is going to be sine 42 Fy over 30. So Fy is equals to 30 sine 42 degrees. So let's find 30 sine 42 degrees. That's 20.1 Newton. Okay, so the whole idea is when you have any diagonal force, what you need to do is you need to find what is the x component here, what is the y component. In order to find the x component and the y component, what you have to do is you have to use trigonometry, put them into this right angle triangle like this, use your trigonometry knowledge, and then find what is fx and what is fy. Next, I will be going into free body diagrams.